Hey, ladies. So, are you pregnant and scared to death? Did you just find out that you're pregnant and you're slightly having a panic attack? If you are, I have totally been there. I completely understand what you're going through. I remember taking a pregnancy test and saying, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant," right? And then taking another one and another one and another one and being like, "Oh my God, I'm pregnant." Right. And I remember my husband being so excited. He's like, "Yes, we're pregnant." And me being like, "Oh yeah, this is great. This is great." And he's like, "What's wrong with you? You should be thrilled." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I think so. Okay." Uh, so I want to just put it out there that I spent most of my pregnancy ridden with anxiety and depression and had no idea that that was happening. But if you took a pregnancy test or you're a couple months in or whatever, and you are terrified of having a baby or you're scared shitless, I totally get it. I've actually had a couple new moms reach out to me and say, is this a normal thing for me to not exactly be happy that I'm pregnant? And I said, it's not abnormal, is what I'm saying. I want to say that it is completely normal for you to find out that you're pregnant and be scared. Because what happens is that when we become pregnant, our whole lives and like all of the things we've experienced, all of our limiting beliefs, all of our childhood traumas, all of where we thought our life would be, everything starts like coming up. So, for example, a lot of the fears that I experienced was, you know, I'm not ready to have a baby, right? And I don't think any of us really are ready to have a child at any like perfect moment. But I spent a lot of that first month or first 3 months thinking, I wish my life was different. I should have had a better job. Am I going to have enough finances? Am I going to be able to go back to work? Am I going to be a good mom? Am I going to be able to handle this? We should have waited. I shouldn't have gotten pregnant so soon. I should have waited years. So there's a lot of these fears that I find that when new moms reach out to me and ask me questions, they're like, does this mean that I'm a bad mom? Like, and they feel guilty for thinking all of this. And it's interesting how quickly that mom guilt comes on, right? And it's kind of uncomfortable because you've never experienced mom guilt yet, and especially if you just got pregnant. But this feeling that everybody says that you should be happy and thrilled to have a baby. And especially if you went through IVF or if you had multiple miscarriages or something like that and had trouble getting pregnant. And the whole world says you should be thrilled, you should be happy, and you're not. You already feel like a bad mom. You already feel guilty for not being as happy as the rest of society expects you to be. And it's really sad that society does that to us, that we should be extremely happy to have a baby, because the reality is our brain chemistry changes when we become pregnant and we become a mom. It's actually this physiological response. The brain scans in our brains change. And if you don't know too much about that, check out Dr. Oscar Saralek. He talks a lot about this, of how we go through this mom metamorphosis. And everything in our life that we haven't dealt with like comes up to the surface. So everything that we think we should have done or we're not going to be able to do starts coming up. And this immense fear that like, people with babies, or you have friends who have babies, and they complain that they can't go anywhere, they can't go on vacation, they don't have sitters, it costs so much for daycare, formula's a lot, diapers are a lot, you're not going to sleep. And you start reading all of this and you start listening to these other moms and people, and you join all the Instagram and Facebook groups and stuff like that. And you start panicking. And I'm sure you're panicking as I'm like telling you this. But I want to let you know that this is a normal part of becoming a mom, is this kind of a life review. So, how when people die, they say your whole life like flashes before you. I want to say when you find out you're pregnant or while you're going through pregnancy, your entire life comes forward, right? And it flashes before you. And then your entire future life comes to you now and passes before you. And you start freaking out, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. Oh my God, what if this happens? Oh my God, what if that happens? And, am I strong enough? I've never been around kids. I don't know how to handle this. I don't know what I'm going to do for babysitting. So all these crazy thoughts start coming in. And I want to say that this is kind of the start of like what they call intrusive thoughts. It's not to that extent, but it is, because it becomes all consuming at certain points, right? It becomes like this burden that you're bearing because you're unhappy and you're fearful and you're anxious. And one of my new mom clients said that, she's afraid to feel these experiences because she feels like her baby is going to feel the fear and anxiety. And although that is true to some extent, it is very important that you find time to process these emotions that are coming through. Because what happens is when we start suppressing it or feeling guilt or shame for feeling how we feel, it manifests itself in different ways during our pregnancy and in postpartum. So it's really important that if you're having these intense feelings of guilt or shame or fear about how you're thinking and how you're feeling, and if it's becoming all consuming, that you learn how to process these emotions, feel them, that it's okay, that you're not exactly ecstatic about being pregnant. That's okay. I'm here to tell you, if nobody's told you, it's okay. You do not have to be this, joyful, happy person if you're pregnant. You may get there. But in the beginning, you definitely don't have to be that way. And what I want to say is that you should really be talking to someone about this. So what's not talked a lot about is perinatal mental health, prenatal mental health. And so I think that when I was going through this, I felt like I was the only person who was experiencing this, and that, I must be a horrible mom already, and the baby's not even out of me because I'm not happy. And I must be this horrible mom because I'm not thinking about all these wonderful things that I'm going to be able to do with this baby and how exciting it's going to be. I must be this horrible mom because I am experiencing this extreme anxiety, fear, slight depression, things like that. So the biggest thing that I wish I had was somebody who I could tell this to, like a trusted friend, a family member, a mom's group, a therapist, a coach, somebody where I could open up and explain to them how I feel. Keep in mind, spouses are great to confide in. However, a lot of them don't understand why you're feeling like this, right? Plus your hormones start kicking in, you're exhausted, you're sleep deprived. There's all these kind of crazy things that happen when you're pregnant. So sometimes telling a spouse is kind of counterproductive, right? So it is good at a certain point to open up if your spouse is open to talking about things like this. However, if they are making you feel more guilty, more shameful, bad about yourself, make you second guess your feelings and why you're feeling this way, maybe that's not the best person to talk to. So when I talk about mental health, part of what it is finding someone to talk to about this. So if you go to see a therapist, which I do suggest, or a coach or a mentor, don't feel like something is wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with you. What it's doing is teaching you how to deal with all the things that are coming up, because this is just the beginning of all the emotions that are coming up, all of these thoughts, all of these feelings. So if you learn right now how to cope with them, how to handle them, how to process and accept the way you're feeling and learn from them, now the rest of your pregnancy will go really well, and your postpartum period will be easier, and it will feel more effortless in terms of dealing with your emotions and what's coming up. If you do not learn how to deal with what you're feeling right now, and the shame or the guilt or the anxiety or depression that's coming up, it's going to be a little bit harder, just like it was for me, because what manifests itself, which I didn't know, as anxiety and depression prenatally, came full force postpartum. So what I want you to do is, if you're feeling like this right now, is I want you to start reaching out to a support group, reaching out to a therapist, reach out to me, reach out to a coach, a mentor, another trusted friend, somebody, and start talking about what you're going through. Start talking about your feelings. And we'll get into more of how to journal about this, but that's another tip that I give my new expecting mom clients, is that you really should journal your feelings. You should really get them out. A pregnancy journal is a great way to process everything that's coming up, right? Because if you're trying to suppress it, or you're saying these aren't the right thoughts that I should have, these are not the right feelings, it's going to get, like I said, manifested in another way. And it's going to become very difficult to deal with it later on once you have the baby and everything comes full force. So start journaling now. Start getting some help right now. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. Actually, therapy should be one of the first things that an OBGYN prescribes to a pregnant woman, is getting therapy or finding a support group, a mentor, a coach. So hopefully we will get there in the next couple of years. But that is my suggestion for you right now, is if you're scared shitless about being pregnant and all your whole life is in review and your future life is in review, then now is the time to start reaching out for help and learning the coping skills, learning how to process these emotions so that it's easier later on. So thank you all so much for being here with me today. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tips and tricks on how to handle your emotions during pregnancy. And if you are with your second baby, or you're suffering with postpartum depression or anxiety, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I come live on Mondays and Wednesdays. And if you haven't already, like me on Instagram, The Unfamiliar Mom, and Facebook, The Unfamiliar Mom, for more coaching tips on your motherhood journey. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you so much.